Hello and welcome. Today we're diving into something that's, well, at the very heart of Chinese society. We're talking about those powerful, almost invisible bonds of family and friendship that really shape everything. So, let's try to get a handle on what holds it all together.
So think about it for a second. What really holds any society together? It's a huge question, right? Well, in China, the answer is really anchored in two core pillars that have been around for centuries. And even though they've changed over time, they've never really broken. And those are family and friendship.
First up, let's talk about the absolute cornerstone of it all, the family. Honestly, it's pretty much impossible to understand Chinese culture if you don't first get a sense of the incredible historical and, philosophical importance that's placed on the family unit.
And at the very core of the traditional family, there's this single, incredibly powerful idea called filial piety, or xiào. Now, this isn't just about, being nice to your folks. It's way deeper. It's a foundational Confucian virtue, a deeply ingrained duty of respect, obedience, and lifelong care for your parents and elders. It's literally the bedrock of the entire social structure. And you can see how all these traditional hallmarks just flow directly from that one idea. So the structure was patriarchal, right? With the eldest male leading the household. You'd often have these huge multi-generational families all living under one roof. The main duty, especially for sons, was taking care of their aging parents. And the ultimate goal behind all of it? To keep the peace, to maintain harmony and unity for the entire group, often putting the family's needs way above your own.
But, of course, the world doesn't stand still. So the big question is, how has this super traditional family model held up against decades of just breakneck modernization, urbanization, and some really big social policies?
Well, the change has been pretty dramatic, to say the least. Those big, sprawling, multi-generational households, they've mostly been replaced by smaller, nuclear families, especially in the big cities. That old-school patriarchal authority has definitely softened, making way for more equal gender roles. And of course, you can't ignore policies like the one-child policy, which completely reshaped what the average family looked like for generations.
And this is so important to understand, even though the form of the family looks completely different today, its core function really hasn't changed. Family is still the absolute central pillar of support in a person's life, both emotionally and practically. That cultural DNA is still incredibly strong. All right, so let's shift gears to our second pillar. Friendship. Because in China, friendship is often seen as something much, much deeper than just simple companionship. It's treated almost like a sacred, lifelong pact.
You'll hear people say this all the time. True friends are like family. And they mean it. The line between family and a really close friend can get super blurry because these bonds are treasured. They're seen as an essential part of life, and they come with this profound sense of loyalty and commitment that's meant to last a lifetime. This is where you can really see some of the cultural differences pop up. So while a lot of Western friendships might kick off because of common interests and really need frequent contact to stay strong, Chinese friendships are typically built on this bedrock of long-term loyalty. And what's fascinating is you might not see a close friend for years, but that bond, that trust, can be just as strong as ever. It's all about reliability, not how often you talk. It really shows that more collectivist, interdependent way of thinking.
So, if these bonds are so incredibly deep and lasting, how are they actually made? It's not really by accident. It often involves some very distinct social rituals that are all about building those deep, shared experiences together.
You can kind of boil it down to 3 key paths. Number 1, sharing a meal. It's the go-to social activity, and the simple act of sharing food from common plates is so symbolic of unity and care. Number 2, group activities like KTV or karaoke. It's loud, it's fun, and it's all about creating a lively, intimate vibe as a group. And number 3, there's the very conscious act of building something called guanxi.
Okay, so guanxi, you hear this word a lot, and it's a huge concept. But a simple way to think about it is that it's the practical, real-world application of all these deep bonds of trust. It's your network of relationships that you can count on for mutual support, for favors, for help, whether that's finding a job or navigating a tricky situation. It's where friendship meets real-world obligation, and it creates this incredibly vital social safety net.
So when you pull it all together, what you have is a social life where family and friendship are woven together to create this amazing, powerful safety net. It's this seamless blend of deep emotional closeness on one side and very real, tangible, practical support on the other. They're really just two sides of the very same coin.
And that leaves us with a pretty interesting thought to end on. In a modern world that so often celebrates radical independence and individuality above all else, what can we learn from a culture that has, for thousands of years, built its strength on the power of interdependence? It's definitely something to think about.